Some places don't feel wrong at first. They don't look dangerous, they don't look abandoned, they just feel quiet, too quiet. You walk into them and everything seems normal, just a little muted. Maybe you think your headphones are still on or your ears just need to pop. But then the silence starts to feel heavier, like a blanket you can't throw off. This is a story about a place with no signal, no sound, and no way to know when you've crossed the line from quiet into something else entirely. Before the story begins, if you enjoy dark, unsettling stories like this one, do me a favor and subscribe right now. It takes a second and you really don't want to miss what comes next. Believe me. He first noticed it when his phone stopped vibrating. It was always buzzing, a constant stream of notifications, emails, group chats, but now his pocket was still. The constant background noise of life, the distant hum of civilization, the subtle static you don't even realize is there until it's gone. It had all vanished. He pulled out his phone, a reflexive modern habit. The screen was on, but the top corner was empty. No signal, not a single bar. He tried to make a call just to see what would happen. He tapped the screen, held the phone to his ear, and waited. Nothing. Not even the automated voice telling him the call couldn't be connected. Not even the faint electronic crackle of failure, just nothing. A void. That's when he realized something else, something far more fundamental. He couldn't hear his own footsteps. He was walking on a gravel path, a path that should have crunched and shifted under his weight, but there was no sound. He lifted his foot and stomped it down. He felt the impact jar his leg, felt the vibration travel up his spine, but his ears registered absolute zero. It was as if his movements were happening inside a vacuum. He looked down at his feet, then back up at the silent world around him. This wasn't just a lack of phone service, this was something else. At first, the silence felt peaceful, almost meditative. For years, he dreamed of escaping the noise of the city, the constant drone of traffic, sirens, and people. Here there was none of that. No wind rustling the leaves on the trees. No insects buzzing in the air, no distant plane overhead. It was pure, unadulterated quiet, but silence isn't supposed to feel heavy. It's supposed to be light, an absence of something. This silence had weight. It pressed in on him from all sides, a physical pressure against his eardrums. It felt thick, suffocating. He decided to test it. He raised his hands and clapped them together hard. He felt the sting in his palms, saw his hands meet. But there was no sound, not the sharp crack he expected. Not even a dull thud. It was like the sound was created and then immediately erased, absorbed by the oppressive quiet before it could even travel an inch. He tried again, faster, clapping over and over. Nothing. It was like watching a movie with the sound turned off, only this was his reality. And that's when a chilling understanding began to dawn on him. This place wasn't just quiet. It wasn't just an area with strange acoustics. It was actively removing sound. It was hunting it. He tried to shout. A primal, instinctual response to the growing fear. His mouth opened, his chest tightened, he pushed air from his lungs with all his might. He could feel the muscles in his throat contract, the familiar strain of a scream building up. But nothing came out, not a sound. Not even the sound of his own breath leaving his body. The air escaped his lips silently, invisibly. Panic, cold and sharp, finally set in. This wasn't right. This wasn't natural. He turned around, desperate to go back the way he came, to escape this silent prison. But the path behind him looked wrong. It seemed closer than it should have been. Compressed. The trees and rocks that he'd passed just minutes ago now looked squashed together. The distance shortened. It was as if the place itself was aware of his intent to leave, and it was slowly, silently folding inward to keep him. He felt it before he saw it. A strange, localized pressure near his right ear. It wasn't a sound, not even close. It was the feeling of a presence where sound should be. A disturbance in the heavy silence. It felt like something was standing right next to him, leaning in, their face just inches from his. Watching him, waiting for a reaction. It felt intelligent. It was a presence that was studying him, learning how a human reacts when one of their most vital senses is taken away. The feeling wasn't aggressive, not yet. It was curious. And that was somehow so much worse. The pressure lingered for a moment, a phantom touch in the silent air, and then it was gone, leaving him even more unnerved than before. He was not alone in this silence. He ran, or at least he thought he did. His legs pumped, his arms swung, his lungs burned for air that he couldn't hear himself gasp. But there was no rhythm to his movement. No thud of his feet hitting the ground to give him a sense of pace or progress. It was a disorienting, nightmarish sensation, like running on a treadmill in a sensory deprivation tank. The world didn't respond to his actions. He felt untethered from reality itself. He risked a glance to the side, at the sheer rock walls that now lined the compressed path. And that's when he saw them. Handprints. Dozens of them, pressed against the cold gray stone. They weren't smeared or frantic, not the marks of someone desperately trying to climb or escape. They were placed carefully, deliberately, like markers left by those who came before. A silent testament to their fate. He stumbled to a stop, his silent, ragged breaths doing nothing to calm his racing heart. He followed the line of handprints, his eyes tracing their path along the wall. They led to a section of rock that was smoother than the rest. And there, carved into the surface, were words. They were rough, uneven, clearly scraped into the stone with a sharp rock or maybe even fingernails. A final, desperate message. It read, "Don't try to listen." His blood ran cold. He had misunderstood everything. The silence wasn't an absence. The sounds weren't being erased. He looked back at the handprints, at the carved words, at the oppressive, heavy quiet. Sound wasn't missing. It was being collected, saved, stored for some terrible purpose. And whatever was collecting it was drawn to those who tried to break the silence. Something behind him shifted. It wasn't a noise. It was a subtle change in the pressure, a displacement of the thick, silent air. It was close. Close enough that he could feel a radiating warmth on the back of his neck. He froze, every muscle in his body screaming at him to run, but he was paralyzed by sheer terror. It was here. The collector. The thing that had been watching him. Then, for the first time since he had crossed that invisible line into this place, he heard something. A single, distinct sound that cut through the absolute silence like a razor. It was a breath. A slow, deep, wet inhalation. And it wasn't his. Some places don't trap you with walls or cages. They trap you by taking away the very things that tell you you're still alive. The sound of your own heartbeat, the rhythm of your breath, the crunch of your footsteps on the ground. If this story stayed with you, if it made the silence in your room feel a little heavier, be sure to like the video. It helps more than you know. And subscribe for more stories from the dark. We have so much more to show you. Thanks for watching When Lights Out.